And welcome to a new episode of Go Down Podcast. No, mitäs tää on? Englanti, kyllä. Tää jakso on Go Down Podcastin historiassa toinen jakso, jossa vedetään koko jakso englannin kielellä. Sillä ja nimittäin mulle tulee tuolta rakkaasta länsinaapurista eli Ruotsista, Dalarön kunnasta, Tukholman alapuolelta, Emmy Ahlén. Hän johtaa Vrakdykarpensionatet, aika vaikea sana tälleen niin kuin heittää, mutta joo, englanninkielinen nimi Captain Baltic Wreck Dive Resort. Ja tosiaan me ei praatattu svenskaa, vaan vedettiin koko podcasti englanniksi, ja hei, tämä on toisaalta myös sellainen poikkeus, että mulla on ensimmäistä kertaa apujoukkoja, eli mulle tuli co-hostiksi rakas Lahden lahja sukellusmaailmalle, eli Severi rouvali tuli kans snakkaamaan vähän engelskaa meidän kanssa. Mutta sen pidemmittä puhetta, ai niin, mä oon Karvosen Ville, tämä podcastin jäsentä, mutta nyt me vaihdetaan englannin kielelle. Ja jos et sä englannin kieltä ymmärrä, niin ei hätää, ihan loppuun mä vedän yhteenvedon suomeksi tästä jaksosta, joten kelaa sit sinne, jos et jaksa kuunnella meidän englanninkielistä höpöttelyä. Alright, now I switch to English, and welcome to another episode of Go Down Podcast. Like I said before, this is the second time in the history of this podcast that we are going to have an English episode or episode in English language. And the reason is that I have a guest arriving to a studio from Sweden, Dalarö to be exact. Dalarö is a municipality just below Stockholm. It's not far away from Stockholm, only 35-minute drive from city center. And there lies a nice little dive resort called Captain Baltic Wreck Dive Resort. And in Swedish it's called Vrakdykarpensionatet. So pretty difficult for you guys who do not speak and understand Swedish, but exact translation is wreck divers cottage or village. Yeah. So I'm going to have Emmy Ahlén from that facility to speak about herself, her diving, and we are also touching the company. But most of the intriguing thing is to speak about wreck diving in Sweden and Baltic Sea. It doesn't differ a lot from our local Finnish ones, but this is a great example of a dive resort that has formed in shores of Baltic Sea, and it's unique. I don't know any other dive resort, or I haven't heard of any other dive resort that is located in the shores of Baltic Sea. But further ado, let's go to our episode. And yeah, I almost forgot to introduce myself. My name is Ville Karvonen, and I'm the host of this Go Down podcast. And normally we do this in Finnish because this is the first and currently the only podcast series or podcast that covers diving in Finland and all around the world, and we talk about all kinds of stuff related to diving, whether it's with equipment, so it's scuba diving or free diving, but anyways, everything related to below the surface stuff. But further ado, let's go to this episode with my co-host Severi Rouvali and a lovely guest Emmy Ahlén from Vrakdykarpensionatet. Let's go. And we're live. Welcome Emmy Ahlén from Sverige, or Sweden, how we would say in English. And this is a special episode for all the listeners who have been dying to get the Go Down podcast in English. I know that there are a lot of people that have been questioning why is it only in Finnish, but now we have it in English, and really we have Emmy as a guest here, and also my co-host Severi, which is something we haven't tried it before. And I'll ask the next question: who is Emmy Ahlén? Go ahead.
If you take a scout and you mix it with a pirate and a diving instructor, then you'll end up with someone like me who eventually devote my entire being into wreck diving in the Baltic Sea. That's the short version.
Yeah. Thank you, Emmy. And Ville, for you, so probably it's a good thing that you are not the only host anymore, because now you are not the worst host in the world, so you're second worst. So, Emmy, when did you start with scuba diving, and do you have or had any inspirations or idols?
I started diving in 2002 or 3. I tried it for the first time, and then I devoted my entire life and career to it from 2004 and onwards. I think it was all tropical waters. It started in Australia, and then it moved on to Thailand, and the diving experience in Thailand was supposed to be for 4 days. I ended up staying in Koh Tao for 6 years, pretty much without going home. I was just constantly diving, and then from that on it ended up being many more years in Asia in various locations. I was in Egypt for a while, and then Indonesia for quite a few years too. There has been quite a lot of inspirations along the route. I think it's changed a little bit throughout the years too. It's been some years I've been fully focused on like the marine life and the conservation part of it, and then I got hit by the deep diving bug, or whatever you want to call it, and of course the beautiful living on a tropical island. Throughout this entire time, no one told me that there is a lot of diving in Sweden. I just did not really know. Especially no one told me about the wreck diving in the Baltic Sea. If I would have known about that earlier, I would have moved back to Sweden long time ago. But now I'm here. I've been in Sweden wreck diving since 2016, and I think my greatest source of inspiration there actually comes from some history classes and meeting like the marine archaeologists, geeking out a little bit more.
Have you ever heard a question, or have you received a question that why do you dive in Sweden or Baltic Sea? There's nothing to see. Have you heard this question before?
It's like the most common thing that people ask you, and it's hard to describe how cool this sensation is of the dark and the green, and the feeling of diving being an all-year activity, and especially when it's cold. I mean, being on land is miserable in November and February. Being underwater is amazing. But diving, what I try to explain to people is that diving in tropical seas was a little bit like Finding Nemo again and again and again and again, whereas diving in the Baltic Sea is like going to a museum that doesn't lie to you, that actually lays down there and tells the story. And when quite quickly on in this question, I think it's important to explain that we're not freezing cold, that we're actually warm. It's all up to what you're wearing. I mean, I'm also grown up in Stockholm and in Stockholm Archipelago, and that used to be, water used to be danger and cold in the darker months, where if you fall in and you can't swim, or if you fall in and it's super cold, like you are risking your health or life. Whereas as a diver, you get dressed for it and you do it by free will again and again and again, and then you just tell the world about it as much as possible. So yeah, this is a tricky one. It's a very common question. It's also the most common misunderstanding, I guess.
Yeah, you're actually like a good and living example. You used to dive in tropical waters, and then suddenly, by surprise, you moved to Sweden, and you have a company diving in the Baltic Sea in the dark and muddy waters that you cannot see anything. So, but it's a good that we have something like you that describes for the people that we actually have a lot. And I think you're a good example for the people that Finland and Sweden and Åland, such countries, is actually super nice and I would say really unique place for diving.
Like I have no urge to go back to the tropics at all, but on a very regular basis, my list of dive sites and places I want to visit, they keeps on growing, but it's all cold water and majority is in the Baltic Sea. I sometimes think of it like when you talk to people who like to go for a walk with their friends, there's a massive difference between going for a walk with your friends in the summer when you're going back and forth to the mailbox, or if you're planning on like an extreme hike in late autumn up in the mountains, or if you're going skiing. Like all of them involves you going up on a mountain or up on a hill or a street, but it's all completely different experiences. What you need to do so is most of the time 2 legs or any other type of transport, but other than that it's different worlds, and that's like the difference between tropical diving in like a little paradise island around the equator and what we do in the Baltic Sea.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So what is your thing about diving? And like, I mean, what gets you still into water? Is it just wrecks, or do you enjoy also like relaxing atmosphere, or what's the thing?
Ooh. I'm a broad spectrum diver. Like I like everything from the little parts to the big parts. It could be super exciting to plan a big dive, but majority of time it's just the feeling of being underwater. So if I can bring my camera, that's a bonus. Different seasons have different positives. Now, for example, coming into autumn, I love the night dives. So evening dives when you get the contrasts, and then you do usually one dive. It's warmer in the water than in the sea. We have like an amazing little community. So after the dive, you sit around and chit chat for a bit, and you get to meet all sorts of people that you would never meet them otherwise, because we come from like different worlds and surroundings, but diving is like the uniting factor. So that part is super cool. But then also the marine life. So all of a sudden, like the mind drifts away, you see something that you've been looking for. Like for example, now is the season for the moon jellyfish, and it's better than playing a TV game or to go to yoga. You just watch these creatures, and whether that's from a shallow shore dive or if it's during a long deco stop, it doesn't really matter. It's just beautiful to look at. So pretty much anything will get me in the water, actually. I'm not a star collector. Like I don't need more certifications or badges.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I know you personally actually quite well. We have met plenty of times, and I can 100% agree that you are the person who really enjoy to chit chat with the people and, you know, sit down for drinks or food and just talk about diving. So I would say you're like an ambassador of like spirit of diving and all the funny things about and around it. So yeah, I can agree what you said.
Food is good. Food is very important, of course. And actually, you know, Sever, it's not so many of my friends that I can say that We actually know each other since before social media was invented. How cool is that?
You and me.
Yeah.
We did?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Cool. Koh-Tao. Koh-Tao.
Ah, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And the year was what?
1872. The world was black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When there was no TVs and social media. So you already answered about, there's a question about certificates that Ville used to ask, but I totally agree what you said, and that was actually my answer when Ville interviewed me or myself, and I answered that I'm not willing to answer that because I would just say I'm a diver. But then Ville corrected me that, okay, let's say dive instructor. But I would say all of us, we just dive no matter what kind of dives you are doing. We all are willing to go underwater, enjoy the neutral buoyancy, and that's it.
Yeah, it's a kind of like a discriminative question that what's your certifications, but yeah, I remember, Severi, you were like the second person or the first person I ever interviewed, and yeah, you were so right, but still this question has been sticking around for so long, and but yeah, we are divers and we are also instructors. Period.
Amen. So, Emmy, tricky question. What's your most important diving equipment?
Ooh.
And why it is dive right?
Paid commercial.
Well,
Kidding.
it depends on which water I'm diving in, but there is one thing that I'm not diving without, no matter how warm or cold it is, and that would be my jet fins. Then I was thinking the other day that, I do sell a lot of equipment, I give a lot of good advices on equipment and so on. But the other day I came out of the water and it was one of those, like, I'm so happy with what I'm diving in right now. Everything fits perfect. So this is like, it's a good size for the time of the month or year. It's a good level of being warm, like nothing is leaking, everything is pretty fresh and new. I'm visible, people clearly see that I'm there, and it's got all the features that I need. I can reach my valves, I have big pockets that I fit everything into, and everything is just working. So my most important diving equipment is to actually have stuff that fits me. Not stuff that fits someone else, and not the top #1 brand that's on the most wanted list somewhere. But it needs to be visible, it needs to be comfortable, and it needs to be warm. And I think I'm on that level now, which is super good.
I have a continuous question to this. I've usually asking the same question from everybody I've interviewed. We're diving in Nordics, and we're doing the heavy tech diving things. So can the dive gear be some other color besides black?
Yes, it should be any other color besides black. So I would go for the full rainbow shabam. If I pick one, take something visible, yellow, neon orange, or maybe white. It's not so practical, but I'd rather have a dirty white diver than an invisible black diver that I need to spend unnecessary time looking for, that creates stress and whatnot. So your dive gear should be visible. You should clearly say whose gear it is, so we don't have to spend any time looking for each other, either underwater or on land. That's like the only demand I have. This is the demand I put on the manufacturers, all of them. We only dive in colorful gear.
Perfect answer.
Good answer, absolutely. So I would say I know the answer for the next one. The dive site that is most important to you and I guess it's the Baltic Sea just front of your beautiful resort. Am I right?
100%. The historical wrecks outside Dalarö is on my top list.
But is there one pick that you would choose from any other wrecks?
There is, we have some amazing wrecks here, and of course, some of them are like intact and very special. But there is one wreck that is like very close to my heart for whatever reason, and it's called the Gröna Jägaren, or the Green Hunter. It's an exploded old burning ship from the 1600s, and every time I go there, I see something I didn't see before. That wreck has taught me a lot about different shipbuilding techniques in the 1600s, and also a lot about different types of salvaging and diving for the last few hundred years. Quite a bit of drunken sailor behavior too. And it's just got this, it lays on between like 27 and 29 meters, where if you have time and a reel, you can go a bit deeper and explore. But there, I have good dives there every time I go, and it's exciting. I like it.
Do you have some special ones abroad?
I used to.
There was two transits.
When I was working in Asia, then when I was working in the different destinations, I used to have some favorite sites depending on the current mood. So at one point when it was like maybe a beautiful pinnacle or maybe a beautiful place in general, but actually the answer to that has changed throughout the year. Like most of the time, my favorites have been some of the ones I've done a lot of diving at. Of course, there's been dive sites that are super cool that you see on a trip or something and you visit 1 or 2 or 3 times. But the best ones are the ones that you get to know. So you kind of learn the behavior of the fish, and you learn about their habitats, you know where to find them, or you learn the history of the wrecks. We had some pretty epic dive sites, both when I was working in Indonesia. There's quite a lot of it, and there is also a super strong current, so you learn how to fly very fast, and you become a very strong swimmer in order not to get pushed down. But then it was also some colorful walls of Egypt where you can just spend hours and hours coming up and you still have something to look at, and that was really cool too.
What's the most special dive that you ever had or have had so far?
Ooh, tricky one.
It can be site, or it can be dive, or some sites or something.
I think that question should actually be one of those, what's your most special dive the last year? Because I want to like update it for different reasons. And the most special dive I've done the last year that is not a wreck dive has actually been the moon jellyfish dives last year, when you're just surrounded by these cool creatures around you. That's really, really amazing.
So what is your tip for beginners? You have seen lots of different kind of divers. You have seen really professional divers. You have seen really beginner divers, as you are instructors as well. So
You've seen Severi.
And you have seen me.
Yeah, so I've met a lot of beginners.
Yeah.
I've met a lot of beginners. I've trained thousands of open water students throughout the year. My biggest tip is to, as soon as you finish your course, book in more diving. Try and practice on the skills you've learned as soon as possible. Like, don't leave it to the side. Don't go home and ask your wife when you can dive next time. Just book some dates, get in the water, and get some new dive buddies, because this community that is happening all around the world, a lot of people start diving without a group of friends. That there will be the adventurous individual that is seeking to meet new people, and the only way that's going to happen is if people talk to each other. So book more diving, spend time and get used to it, because then you would also feel what it is with diving that you like the most. It might be something different to what the instructor that told you how to dive is. Maybe you find like some fascination of a particular area. It could be wrecks, it could be marine life, it could be equipment, it could be different seasons, or just the whole thing around it. But yeah, dive a lot.
Yeah, Emmy, I have a special question for you regarding this. So, when you didn't dive, how many of your friends was divers? And simple answer. Short, simple answer.
I don't know, because before I started diving, I never asked anyone about diving.
Okay. About your friends now, how many of them, or what is the percentage that they are divers?
100%. It's
Yeah. So that's how diving changed your life and friends. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. So let's go further. Next, we are going to talk about your company, Vrakdykarpension, or in English, is it wreck diver boarding house, to be exact? Yeah, tell us about the history of your company, Vrakdykarpension, up till now. And well, do you, and furthermore, do you refer to have it in English? Is it the wreck diver boarding house or something else?
we the story starts about 5 years ago when the pandemic was, and me and my man, like I've been working with diving my whole life. This is what I pay my bills with. And what happens when they close down everything, all the swimming pools and all the courses, everything canceled, is that I need to find another way to entertain myself. Which means that we started inviting all Swedish divers we knew and doing a lot of land-based diving all around Stockholm. Like we probably go out 4 or 5 days a week in all weathers and just bribe everyone with coffee, cake, and diving and someone to hang out with. And that turned out really well, to the point where we decided to open up Vrakdykarpensionatet. So what we were missing was a place where in the Baltic Sea where you can go and you have everything in one spot. You can fill gas, you can hang your dry suit up, and most of all, you can collect the divers and get the full story behind the dive sites that you're at. So I figured that a lot of dive brief from other places is non-existing, and we put a lot of effort actually telling the full story, no matter if it's a nature dive or a wreck dive. So everyone is speaking Swedish in the beginning of pandemic. Like no one is allowed to travel, whereas the word Vrakdykarpensionatet sounded like an amazing idea. And then when the borders opened up and we started getting divers from other countries than just here, Vrakdykarpensionatet all of a sudden is like the longest word in history that makes no sense if you don't speak any Swedish. So our actual company is called Captain Baltic. So in English it will be Captain Baltic Wreck Dive Resort. For me it really doesn't matter if it's in English or in Swedish, but the whole word Vrakdykarpensionatet has created a really cool vibe. Like many people know about it, and it's just a word that comes rest in your mind. It's also really cool to try and teach non-Swedish speakers how to say it. It takes a few goes, and some of them can't do it at all. So yeah, that's like the basic story why we opened up. We sold what we had in the city, got sick and tired of constant transports and stuff. We've had the boat where we're located for a while before that, and we've done a lot of diving around here. But then we just moved everything and boats to Dalarön, because Dalarön is the center of wreck diving. Like all the wrecks are here. In the history books, it's the center of seafare, and there that's why there's a lot of ships that's also on the bottom here. And it's also, besides being close to all the wrecks, it's just a really calm place, and we managed to find a house that can be both our private villa and a wreck dive resort at the same time. So it is a pretty unique setup. Like I haven't seen it anywhere else, but the cool thing is that we managed to have everything that a diver needs under one roof. So instead of having to, as a group, having to deal with any type of logistics, the divers who come here, they just need to dive, eat, sleep, maybe have a beer in a sauna, and then repeat. everything else is here. So it just saves so much time, and then that time is used on the storytelling about the wrecks and the history behind what's going on in the Baltic Sea and why there are so many wrecks in certain sites. And all of a suddenly, like, we are forcing the diving community.
Now we're losing you again.
We didn't hear the last things. Now we hear you, but it's again like oop, oop, oop. Don't worry, Emmy, it's not the first time, it's not the last time.
Yeah, and we can edit and there's so much artificial intelligence AI in the editing software that we...
Emmy looks like she doesn't
Okay,
hear us.
we'll try it.
Can you hear? Now it's better. Yeah.
I hear you.
Emmy,
Yeah.
It's not the last time. It's not the first time. Not last time. So thank you, Emmy. Explanation about the company, and actually you described it pretty well. And I have been in your location at least once, and it really improved me about like the way how you are doing, and like how lovely host you and Björn are. And actually that's the reason why I really wanted to get you into our dive show, and why I really wanted to get you into this podcast, because I really think that Finland needs you. And the way how you are doing and how passionate you and Björn are about the company and the diving in the Baltic Sea, and how you are hosting the people who's visiting you, it's just simply amazing. Like, you are like another mother and father when and the customers really feels that. That's what I think. It was really impressive.
That's warming my heart, making me happy.
Yeah, I got to say, also. But I have to say that you are so brave to doing this kind of thing, that, like you described, you did everything with your spouse and head down and did all the stuff, and now it's going like a full throttle machine ahead. But the next question from my side is that you are open all year long.
More or less. Our active boat season is usually between like April and end of November. It depends a little bit on the winter. We don't mind diving all year long, but it's somehow hard to get in and out of the harbors when it's covered in ice. Therefore, we have a lot less activities. In January, February, we are not necessarily closed, but we have 1 or 2 diving days. We also do all the boring stuff that company owners need to do during that time, and maybe have a little personal break too. But then it's full on after that. We start with our courses very early on in the season, and then rec weekends is usually somewhere around the beginning of April. So with the whole season start, we've done a few years that we also have boat diving in the winter, but because we can't promise what the ice situation is like, then we just have to see year from year.
Yeah. Good. Let's talk about wrecks and visibilities later. But my next question is that what is your typical customer?
A group of friends or something that will come for a weekend. So let's say arrive on Friday and do some check dive, and then do 2 days of boat diving and check out on Sunday night. Or sometimes, if it's longer weekends, it could be like 3 boat day divings or 4 days of diving by boat. That's our main thing. But we do, other than that, it's very mixed between how old people are, or if it's men or women, or what their interests are. I think a lot of them are middle-aged and up, and men and interested in wrecks. But there is really a wide variety. Like, quite often we have the youngest ones on the boats are probably 18, 19, and the oldest ones are in their 70s. So it is a pretty wide range, and sometimes it's like the devoted CCR divers with certain requests, and sometimes it's mixed groups that want to do both wreck diving and see some nature dives as well, or someone who's really into just historical wrecks. We tend to tell extra much history and usually recommend to. We have a close cooperation with the two museums in Stockholm, the Vasa Museum and also the Vrak Museum of Wrecks. So for the long distance groups, we tend to see if we can arrange like a visit to the museums on the first or the last days or something like that. And then it changes a little bit. We have, for groups, it's quite a lot of the groups are from different countries surrounding the Baltic Sea. I would say majority of our groups are Swedish, Finnish, or Polish, or Estonian, sometimes Danish. But then there is, the last 2 years, it's been a couple of teams from like France and UK and Italy, where one thing that they all have in common is that you have to know how to dive in cold water. This is like a requirement. Cold and dark, that's our thing.
That's our thing.
You mentioned that you have CCR or rebreather customers, so you also provide rental gear, because if
Yes.
people are coming from far away or not
Yes.
so far away, you still have the rental gear. What about the gas supply? You also have trimix, oxygen.
Okay. Yes, we dive in all systems. We cover all systems. We have gases, whatever you need. So air, nitrox, trimix, helium, pure oxygen. We have argon for the winter dives. We have Softenlime. We got all sorts of cylinders. Like, we don't have 500 different cylinders. So for each group, we ask well in advance what they need, and then we just make sure that it's here by the time they arrive.
What's the typical cylinders that they require?
Twin sets, double 12s.
Yeah, double 12s. Yeah, I can
Emmy,
imagine
you
that.
tell me a little bit about
But
like rest of your facilities, because I know that you have such a nice facility with swimming pool, service room, drying room.
Nice.
Nice thing.
Yes, we do. We have, so in the actual Vrakdykarpensionatet section, there is 2 bedrooms with 4 beds in each. And then there is 2 bathrooms downstairs with 2 showers. There is a kitchen, and we also use it as a classroom. But then there is also a separate drying room just for undergarment, because I don't want to go on a diving weekend and smell my body's undergarment when I sleep. So that's a separate one. We have full facilities for service and dry suits and whatever spare parts is needed, and also lots of places where you can charge your items or fiddle with your cameras or clean your equipment or such. And on the outdoor section, we have a pool too. We may use it mainly for like testing equipment or like the first dives on the beginner course or such. There is a sauna, there is some laundry facilities, and it's like a few minutes walk from the house. You either reach the water on 2 different areas, or a few minutes you come into the village of Dalarön. So village of Dalarön also has like a supermarket and some restaurants and some gas station and such. It's pretty convenient because it's not so far away. Without traffic, it's 35 minutes to Stockholm city center.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. So I have a question that tell us about Dalarö, the village, but you already explained it. Probably my next question is that for whom would you recommend Vrakdykarpension? Is it friends, dive buddies, teams, or clubs, or just individuals, or everybody's welcome?
everyone should come and dive with us. We do every few months, 4 or 5 times a year, we have so-called open weekends where individuals or just buddy teams can book in, and that's how they meet new diving friends. And the rest of the time of the rest of the weekends is dive clubs or courses, and it's like a mixed variety. One of the things that I find is that a lot of people think we do only technical diving. We do all sorts of diving. Majority of it is recreational diving between like somewhere around the 30-meter mark, because majority of our wrecks is on about 30 meters. We have quite a few wrecks that goes down to about 35, and then there is some wrecks down to 40, and then yep. There's a big variety of depths, and the conclusion is that even if our majority of our wrecks are around 30 meters, the cool thing with it is that, okay, if you're a recreational diver, then there's plenty to choose from, but also if any type of technical diving, you're not so chased by decoy. You can have like really long dives, and also because you have a little bit more freedom to do a bit of deco, then you can see further out where actually the accidents happen. So when a ship sinks, it's not just straightforward bush down, there it is. The story is laying all around it. So imagine sailors out at sea and a big storm kicks up and you go, we're sinking, the boat is taking in water. You're gonna step by step try and make this ship lighter, right? So you'll start with throwing out the really heavy stuff, and then some stuff will fall off because you can't catch it, and then maybe some people will fly off, and then eventually your mast will crack. Point is that the traces of these dive sites, they sometimes spread around, and even worse on the ones that's been in any type of fight or drunken mistake where something has exploded. Poof, there is wreck parts everywhere. So also because we're sheltered, like for those who have not been to Stockholm Archipelago yet, we're talking about a place with 30,000 islands. So to get in and out of Stockholm city center, one needs to be a very skilled sailor. So this means that through the last 500 years, you need to have some detailed plan on how you're going to do it. And that was a defense mechanism. But this also means that ships have sunk in every wind direction. So no matter how hard the wind blows from either way, there is always some wrecks that's sheltered on another side, which means that we never have to cancel our dive trips. And this is pretty unique if you look at majority of rest of the world where weather is super important. Here we can always go diving. Sometimes we have to change our dive plan, but we can always go out and see some cool wrecks.
Yeah, nice. And in addition to that, am I right that you are also a 5-star body resort?
Yeah, correct. We're a PADI resort. We teach a lot of PADI courses, of course, on all levels, up to from beginner to pro levels and technical diving. But just because we're a PADI resort doesn't mean that we are religious. So we cooperate with all training agencies, and we also encourage instructors from all training agencies to come and have us as a facility base and train their courses from here. So we're really open-minded. We believe in quality of dive training, and to do it in a way that's suitable for the Baltic Sea. That means a lot more time. That means a very big focus on trim, safety, equipment, lights, of course, and staying warm. So it's not the same thing as I used to run both PADI and SSI centers actually on all the years in Asia. It's a very different story to teach courses here, but that also means that we spend a lot more time on the introduction part, so like getting people used to this type of diving, or we spend time on every rec weekend starts with a check dive, because it's, even as you know, even the most experienced divers are usually the ones with I should have fixed that hole in my leaking dry suit glove last week, but I didn't, and then it's 2 degrees in the water. So yes, we are a dive school, but just not like all the other dive schools.
Mm. Yeah, I can imagine that kind of like stigma of being abroad in Asia and being a instructor. I feel it as well. And then coming back to Finland, doing the instructing, and some people just look at you as one of those buddy instructors. But like you said, I firmly believe, and I am 100%, I think the same, that because the diving in Baltic Sea is so much different, those are the things that you really need to look after: the safety, equipment, keeping you warm, and trim.
Yeah, trim. Do not kick up. Like we do, even our entry-level divers on the first dive of the open water course, everything is done in dry suit, with dry suit gloves, in trim, with light on and light communication. We put a lot of pressure on the training agencies too, because we need to up the level of this training. I want to create future divers that will continue diving for a very long time. If I'm going to continue having these good friends for the rest of my life, I need to make new ones. And it takes a bit of work to do so.
Emmy, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, if I am a new diver, but I don't have a buddy, but I want to come over to Vrakdykarpensionatet, or how do you spell it? I don't know. Can I be trustful that you have either a buddy or a guide for me? So are you doing guided dives, or if I collect a group of my friends and I would like to dive as a buddy team with my friends, can I do that? Or
yes, on
does
all
it
of the
have to
above.
be guided dives, or so you can offer both? You can offer buddy diving, or you can offer guided dives.
Yeah. So if you come along, we have on all events open to book as a single diver. You have two options. One option is called I'm a very good buddy and I can team up with anyone else. And the other option is I need special support underwater, so I need to rent a buddy. That could be as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be for someone who's insecure. That could also be someone who wants to really focus on the macro life, or have super long dives, or want to dive in some other setup or something like that, just so we can match up single divers with divers that have the same interest as them. On all dives, we always have a dive leader with us on the boat. The dive leader is equally responsible for giving good briefings so everyone knows exactly what to do, and then team up all the divers. And on most dive sites, the dive leaders is there to protect the wrecks. But then no one is going to dive alone, of course. And then we have a few wrecks that have special permits on it where it has to be guided. So on those wrecks, then yes, all divers have to follow a guide. But on the other wrecks, a general thing is that the dive leader is there as a type of support. The one who goes down first to set the shot line, make sure that there is a blinky, that the shot line is actually on the wreck, so our customer divers don't have to search for them. We do that job. You go down and then you enjoy your dives. So that you don't have to worry so much about not bringing a buddy. That we can fix. But then also you don't have to feel like you are forced to swim behind someone. Me, I'm a very terrible diver on my holidays, because I've never ever swam behind someone else before. Like, I'm always leading the dives. Here you don't have to follow me, don't worry. But only on three different wreck sites where it's like super restricted diving, then yes, we have agendas for it.
So if I'm a shy diver and I want to dive with a local guide who knows the wreck, so I can do that as well.
Absolutely, you just book a buddy in. We have a team of, there's like 12 of us that are constantly guiding around here. So most of the time, if someone wants to, for example, let's say you have a particular interest, really interested in engines or propellers, then yes, it's super good to team up with one of our one of our crew, so they can make sure that you get to see what you're dreaming about.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very good.
So physically you are in Dalarö, but what about the internet part of the world? Where can we reach you?
You can see us if you know how to get Vrakdykarpensionatet.se together. You can. You can also go into captainbaltic.se. But you can definitely find us on Facebook. We're very active on Facebook, on particular our Swedish channel, where there is posts and videos almost daily. We've got an English account as well on the Captain Baltic side that we publish some stuff on. We are on Instagram, same there. Very regular posts, and we are on YouTube. So if you want to see some moving images of the last few years, you should check out Vrakdykarpensionatet on YouTube.
Okay, nice. I will post all the URLs to the description of this episode. So don't worry, listeners, followers. You will get the right address where to find Vrakdykarpension. Nice.
Yeah, I think, Emmy, we have sent mails each way, so I came to the decision that it's actually way easier to get to dive into one of the world-class dive sites and wrecks in Baltic Sea than type your name correctly.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, but Severi, you're from Lahti.
Yeah, that's right.
And the listeners can understand that it's difficult for you to write your name. Joke. Well, is there a next big thing for the company in the future? Have you thought about the next big thing? What would happen with?
We've got lots of little plans, but basically we are growing. We invested this year in a new boat, so the last years we've been running off 2 rib boats. Now we have a big catamaran with dive deck and toilet on as well, so that means that it's going to be, or it is, warmer and more space for anyone who needs it, like me, who's got shitloads of equipment on all the time. But that is one direction. We are also developing a lot into different type of project diving, because I truly believe that the Baltic Sea underneath the surface needs to be shown more to the world, both to engage people in diving, but also to engage people in caring about the Baltic Sea. And it's not just talking about how the water is doing or how the ocean is doing. It's actually we are surrounded by the most amazing ocean there is. So I think focus should be a little bit more here instead of always looking at the other side of the planet.
Let's go into the next section of the podcast episode, and it's about wreck diving in Baltic Sea, wreck dive in Sweden, and specifically there in Dalarö. And my question is, or kind of like I'm thinking that there are tens of thousands of wreck in the Baltic Sea, and in some estimates there are over 100,000 wrecks all over Baltic Sea. But what is your estimation how many wrecks there are nearby Dalarö?
We have a game plan, so to say, or one of the sea charts on our wall that is constantly, it's like step by step filling up with more places. But from the ones that we visit regularly, it's about 40 or 50 wrecks that we keep on revisiting all the time. And when time comes and we have some more time to explore further away wrecks and also more of the ones that we didn't yet have time to dive in, that number is just increasing. So yeah, somewhere around there, which is really cool considering all destinations I've worked at before usually have between 5 and 10 dive sites, and here it's 40 to 50. We have a lot to choose from.
Yeah. What's the typical way you come across with the new wreck?
We get some tips and hints from either previous wreck divers or from local knowledge. Sometimes we gather old wreck divers and ask them and say, hey, have you got any good recommendations from before? But it also requires a lot of time. So with more boats and with more crew, we have more time to go and explore as well.
How willing are they giving up the knowledge? Because I know in Finland there are those old timers that they are kind of like, they're not telling the secrets, they're not passing them around.
It's hard. There's a few things that people protect really well. It's to tell the story of where their secret sunken ships are. It's like almost on the same level as telling the story where your favorite mushroom picking place is.
Yeah, true that. What's your personal recommendation of the time to visit the wrecks there? When is the visibility the best?
Unfortunately, there's not a straight answer to that. That used to be the answer to that question used to be come in spring or late autumn. But the last 4 or 5 years, it's because I'm underwater photographer, I go through my photos all the time to look for particular photos, and we have amazing wreck diving in the summer too. I would tend to, if I come with one tip, spring and autumn has two very different beauties of it. So spring is so nice with when the archipelago is shifting and the sun is coming back, and just being outdoors is amazing. So if you're a devoted cold water diver and not scared about temperature at all, spring is really cool. That could be very clear waters too. If anyone is dreaming about doing longer deco dives, I would go for autumn, when the deco temperature is a little bit more modest, and there's like more of an even water temperature throughout the water pillar. And for beginners, depending on how they are trained, so if they're used to the cold, then I will go spring, or so if they're not used to the cold, aim for August, September. That's like the absolutely warmest months.
So next question is about the conditions. Like there has been lots of talks about condition of Baltic Sea. So have you noticed something that conditions have changed or something like that? And if so, can you describe how?
Yes. One of the most common topics of conversation is what's the visibility like? I think to translate that into the rest of the world, and I'm talking the rest of the world outside Sweden, Finland, and Norway, is that this is like part of our culture to constantly complain a little bit about the weather, right? But the visibility wise, the big difference I've seen in the last 8 or 9 years in Stockholm archipelago was during the 2 pandemic summers, when there was no boat traffic, or almost no boat traffic in the Baltic Sea. It took a very short time for the organisms that are bottom feeders to actually eat off majority of the sediment. So what was really cool is that all of a sudden a lot more details from these sinking of ships appeared. So all of a sudden you'll find wreck parts that you've not seen before. We had like clear bottoms for 2 summers in a row, where you see the sand and different color rocks instead of the sediment. And then when they let go of the restrictions, it was like within 2 weeks the sediment is back on. So depending on where it was like different layers. Now I have put this up together with some different researchers and marine biologists that are usually just focusing on one small area each. But one of the things that we are more focused on is to minimize the gap between science and sports diving, because we dive all the time. Like we can really tell the story, what the ocean looks like and how it feels and what it is around, whereas if you're just doing field tests on one spot, you can't see it. So that's like one difference. And the second difference is the temperature, where we've had the last 5 years, it's been 2 or 3 of them have been extremely warm. And when you dive in extremely warm waters, where I'm talking about the whole water pillar being 17 degrees and up, the superstructures of the historical wooden wrecks that's 300 or 400 years old, they start to move. And then it goes down colder than, let's say, 12 degrees, then they are steady again. So I think the ultimate temperature to dive in is like 7 or 8. That's crispy, wrecks are standing still, and it's a good time. But that's been a huge difference. So when it gets too warm, we've had a few winters when it's been extremely cold too, where the ice have been super thick, and then we can see it on some of the dive sites that it creates some type of current, so there's a different water flow, and therefore there is some changes too. We do report all of this. We report it to science, and we report to the government marine archaeologist, which is a good thing with having a camera in my hand all the time, because it actually just shows what it looks like. So yeah, it's interesting, and we keep on doing more research, and we keep on asking more questions on why this is.
Yeah. If we change this question a little bit nicer way, upside down, so and not talk about bad things about the Baltic Sea. So we have also one specialty in Baltic Sea that we have, and it's known everywhere that we have some special wrecks, and especially wooden wrecks. So what kind of things you can see in Dalarö? I mean, in the wrecks that of course we know that you have plenty of different kind of wrecks from different centuries. So can you see, like, what can you see? Can you see cannons? Can you see bells? Can you see steering wheels? What can you see?
The
Because
Baltic
I think
Sea
that
is
they
like
are quite well preserved.
the Baltic Sea is like a time capsule, so pretty much anything that has been dropped in the sea is still gonna be there. And because we are in Dalarö, it's a place that for the last 400 or 500 years have been very active with both transporting goods, and with the Royal Navy fleet, and with the different types of fishing, and a mix of kind of boats. They've all come into harbor, and the harbor 400 years ago was more like a floating city covering all the islands nearby shore, which means that there is stuff laying in layers. So both around the wrecks in the harbor, you see both stuff from the wrecks, but then also anything else that you've either thrown in the sea or that you've fallen in the sea. So on the wooden constructions, there will be the wooden constructions are a lot of them are very intact, and you see both the which type of ship it's been. If it's cargo, then whatever the cargo was, for example, building materials or charcoal, or some types of rocks, or maybe if they've gone empty, or if it's some type of warships, then yes, there is cannons, there is lots of secrets that we're not gonna talk out loud, but I'll show you when you come here and dive with us. But you also see all the tools and day-to-day stuff used for sailing, so the sailing rig and the life on board. So there is old barrels, there is if it's a remarkable, beautiful wreck, then you'll have some remains from figurines or design, or depending on what it's made from, if it's oak or if it's some other material, then you have different on growth. So some of them are covered in mussels, and some of them are like pristine red orange oak color. So there is really a big mix. And then on the little newer ships, we don't have so many ships that are newer than 100 years. There's a few, but most of them are older. But we also have a fair few old steamers from late 1800s and early 1900s, which are completely intact. They're just laying there telling the story. They're also telling stories about a little bit more modern world wars of different kinds and techniques used, if it was steam or if it was sail, and then you switch over to engines. So there is a fair bit of that happening too. We tend to not penetrate our wrecks. On the historical wrecks, we are not allowed to, and on the newer wrecks, it's probably not such a good idea. But there are some of them that are big enough to swim into cargo holds at least to see. It's really cool when you're looking through the door and you see everything set on the shelf from the kitchen, like all the glass and pots and pans and stuff like that.
Yeah. Emmy, you mentioned that there are some wrecks that guide is required. But is there some wrecks that require some special permit from authorities or museum or military?
Yes. There are primarily there's 3 wrecks. There's 7 wrecks put together in information project called Dalarön Dive Park, and 3 of them require permits. So these permits are by the Coast Guard, the Sea Police, the government, and us. And then there is just a few handful of people that are guides for this, and most of them work for me. So that's like we have to report in a couple of weeks beforehand where we're going, which time, who's guiding, who's driving the boat, which vessel it is, and then afterwards we report who has been with us there. We work quite closely together with authorities, so they come and check us all the time because we also train them in how to check the license and the paperwork of everyone. So it's like a win-win situation, whereas if we show them how to do this properly, they can put the same pressure on maybe other boats that's not supposed to be here.
Yeah, it's openness and like in my company we have a saying that trust is our backbone. So I can imagine that. And you will apply when for example, if me and Severi we decide to come over and you know that okay, we want to go to this special wreck, and you apply it and then do all the paper stuff.
Yes,
for us. Good.
Exactly. No, first I actually check. I will send in applications, but before I take anyone to any of the permit requiring wrecks, then I will screen the diving capabilities. So it is my responsibility to make sure that everyone can dive properly.
Yeah. And now that we are talking about diving in Baltic Sea and wrecks, what are the recommended dive gear or equipment for such a dive in Baltic Sea wrecks?
A good, comfortable dry suit without leaks, and dry suit gloves is a must with thick inner gloves. Good idea of undergarment is like super important. So the undergarment, the normal undergarment, I always dive in a heated vest. That is one thing, and then backplate and wing, no matter if it's a single tank or twin set, but something like that. That's and then some pockets where you have to have an SMB with you. You have to have a good primary light. You need a backup light. And a good hood as well. So if you're not used to the cold water diving, a good hood means anything between 7 and 10 millimeter is needed. What else? Well, equipment that is your size. Sometimes we meet divers that's like, oh, well, I borrowed this from someone. If you need to borrow gear from someone before you come, let us know instead. And we have a lot of rental gear that might actually fit your size, length, and body.
Yeah, that's nice. What's your, Severi, what's your recommendation for the brand?
All the good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have many of good brands. So, yeah. So, Emmy, what do you think that is Vrakdykarpensionatet suitable for open water divers?
If on particular weekends when that is planned, then yes, if it's an open water diver with cold water experience, we can do. Or if it's a group of open water divers with cold water experience, we will just arrange the whole topic of the weekend for that purpose. And there is several wrecks that's like maximum 15 meters deep, so we can still do a very interesting historical weekend with all of that applied. But to come to the deeper one, so to come to the 30-meter one, you need not just having done the open water and advanced, you need to have a fair few dives in cold water, and you need to have control of your twin. So maybe my suggestion is that if you just learn how to dive and you're dreaming about a dive trip in the Baltic Sea and come and see us, then practice on trim. Go out on training dives with your dive group before coming here, so you don't have to practice on your trim whilst being on the wrecks, because there you want to explore and you want to relax and enjoy it. So yeah, more training dives if you feel like you need it. Then you probably need some more.
Hey, I noticed the below the surface project mentioned in your company's website, and you mentioned about your enthusiasm towards the ecological part of the work or the environment, of course, like we all do have. But could you please elaborate this your project to our followers and listeners and viewers?
Yeah, so the project Below the Surface is something kicking off as of next year. It's a year-long project focusing on project dives, where we want to both take photos and film on all the different seasons of diving. It is mainly focused on the marine life and environment of diving, but the environment of diving in the Baltic Sea also has wrecks in it. The point is to show how beautiful it is and everything that's living under the surface and what the diving is like. And we spread this out and we engage the local divers or anyone who wants to be part of our project diving team, really, to both gather information and work together with science. So this is also collaboration with some of the big universities and some of the scientists on different topics of marine species. So the plan is to, because we have the passion and the knowledge and we dive all the time, we want to take out the gaps between science and diving. We want to make science better by actually adding reality to it, and we want to make diving better by adding science to it. And because both me and a few more of our team have both of these in our CVs, then we can combine it. It's also a build on the project 2025 that has been the Baltic Sea Environment together with the World Wildlife Foundation. So step by step, it's like an information project. We are also for 2026 for under the surface or below the surface project. We are seeking sponsors and we are having different types of collaborations for it. And these kind of collaborators is both companies and organizations. And there is some that's supporting with just funding and some that it's supporting with networking and knowledge. So that's like the short grasp of this project.
When you reach the target of the project, will you have a show on display about the pictures, like as you said, or
Yes.
what?
There will be a constant feed of both pictures and videos, and we're planning to create at least 3 short videos, like 10-15 minute short videos that will be published in a variety of channels for it.
Okay, we are looking forward to those.
So, Emmy, before I have a honor to say Ville's and Go Down's podcast headline punch, which is Let's Go Down, I would like to ask you your words or greetings to all podcast listeners.
My greetings would be one of my favorite sentences, which is storms, sea battles, and bad luck have sunk many ships, and I welcome you to come and see them with us in Dalarön.
And I would also would like to hear it also in Swedish, in your native language.
Absolut. På svenska så heter det stormar, sjöslag och otur har sänkt många skepp. Och det är därför man behöver komma och dyka med oss i Dalarö.
Tack så mycket.
Okay, Emmy, I think we are more or less done. And I need to say thank you to Ville to let me be as a co-host. And I always wanted to say this punchline. So,
you were the first one. I remember going to that before you go into that. It just came out naturally to me, but you were the first listener to ever emphasize it. That okay, you're saying this, but go ahead.
Thank you, Ville, and thank you so much, Emmy and Let's go down.
Down.
Thank you for
Ja siinä oli tämänkertainen jakso Emmyn ja Severin kanssa purkissa ja paketissa. Ja nyt mennään siihen suomenkieliseen yhteenvetoon. Jos nyt tuntuu siltä, että sua ei miellyttänyt kuunnella meidän Lontoon praattamista. Kyllä Emmyhän oli tässä niin kuin kaikista paras, mutta mä ja Severi, niin meillä on vielä vähän opittavaa tässä Lontoon taitamisesta. Ehkä se oli vaan vähän oli pientä jännittävyyttä niin kuin mukana. Mutta hei, yhteenvetona, Emmy on todellakin maailmaa nähnyt sukeltaja ja kouluttaja. Ja hän on ollut Thaimaassa kohtaa olla Indonesiassa ja Egyptissä. Ja toi on hemmetin mielenkiintoinen juttu, että joku tulee toiselta puolelta maailmaa ja lähtee vetämään sukelluskeskusta Pohjolassa. Tämä on mun mielestä aika ainutlaatuista. Itsekin siellä on ollut heilumassa yhden kauden, mutta se, että lähtisin perustaa keskusta ja tolla tavalla niin kuin, melkein ympäri vuoden toimivaa keskusta, jossa niin kuin fokuksena on niin kuin hylkysukellus, niin kyllä se vaatii niin kuin aika iso niin kuin munaskuuta, että tohon hommaan, tohon leikkiin lähtee. Ja hei, yksi juttu, mitä mä tykkäsin tuosta Emmyn mitä hän sanoi niin kuin sukeltamisesta täällä versus siihen etelässä sukeltamiseen, että kun se etelässä sukeltaminen on sitä etsin Nemoa etsimässä niin kuin jatkuvasti, ja sitten kun tullaan sukeltaan näihin vähän kylmempiin vesiin, niin sukeltaminen Itämeressä on kuin menemistä museoon, joka ei valehtele. Ja tämä on oikeastaan niin semmoinen hyvä heitto kaikille teille, jotka ette ole kokeilleet täällä Pohjolassa sukeltamista, jotka mietitte sitä, että hei, tämä on ehkä niin ekstreeme laji, ja sitten toiseksi vielä, että kun ei täällä ole mitään nähtävää. Niin kuin tuossa mainitsinkin jaksossa ja kysyin Emmyltä, että ootko sä kuullut tämän saman vastaavan kysymyksen, niin kyllähän hän on sen myös kuullut. Se on niin kuin, se tulee aika monesta tuutista, ja useasti ne on ihmisiä, jotka eivät edes sukella, mutta kyllähän sitä niin kuin paljon, kun itse tuolla reissuja vetää matkanjohtajana, niin siellä on hyvin paljon ihmisiä, jotka eivät ole edes kokeilleet Suomessa sukeltamista, niin se kommentti tai se kysymys on just se, että minkä takia sä sukellat Suomessa tai Itämeressä, kun ei siellä ole mitään nähtävää. Niin tästä tulee se väite. Sukeltaminen Itämeressä on kuin menemistä museoon, ja tämä museo ei valehtele. Piste. Yksi juttu, mitä mä tykkäsin hirveästi tuosta Emmyn tuomasta ajatuksesta, tai siitä, että mikä on hänelle se tärkein varuste, tai varusteet yleensäkin, niin kaikki oikean kokoiset varusteet. Ja tämä on semmoinen asia, mihin oikeastaan meidän pitäisi niinku kiinnittää enemmän huomiota, että meillä olisi oikein kokoiset varusteet. Ja ehkä tärkein niistä oikein kokoisista varusteista on tosiaan toi kuivapuku. Mä tuun tekemään jakson mun edellisestä reissusta. Mä olin tuolla São Miguelillä, Azoreilla, Atlantilla, ja mä otin sinne mun kuivapuvun mukaan, ja mä ennakkotietona sain tietää, että siellä oli 22-24 astetta lämmintä, ja mä mietin, että nyt tällä kertaa mä en ota sinne aluspukua mukaan. Viime syksynä mä olin Kroatiassa, ja mä otin sinne mun Viisle Extreme Plusan mukaan, ja se oli aivan liian kuuma. Siellä oli 22 astetta lämmintä vedessä, ihan sieltä niin kuin pinnalta pohjaa asti. Niin mä ajattelin, että hitot, että mä en nyt tällä kertaa niin ei tehdä sitä virhettä, että olisi liian kuuma. Ja mä päätin sitten tehdä niin, että mä otin vaan pelkästään aluspuvun, otin tuommoisen teknisen kompressiopuvun, ja sitten mä mietin, että jos nyt tulisi vähän niin kuin kylmempi, niin otanpa tuosta sitten vähän fliisitakkia ja fliisihousua. Ja ekalla sukelluksella mä siellä Azoreilla tein, ja edelleenkin siitä tulee jaksoa myöhemmässä vaiheessa, niin ekalla sukelluksella oli kylmä, ja hitto, että oli vaikea tyhjentää sitä pukua, kun se meni semmoisille poimuille. Sitten sen jälkeen, kun mä laitoin vähän fyllin kielen, mä laitoin sen fliisin sinne sisään, niin oli lämmintä, mutta edelleenkin, kun se mun puku on mitoitettu mun aluspuvulle, käytän tuolla reissussa 5 ja sitten mulla on Santin aluspuku muuten, niin se istuu kuin hanska käteen. Mutta tälleen, kun se oli tommoinen löysä kuori, niin kyllä se niinku ylöspäin tultaessa sen ylimääräisen kaasun, mitä siellä puvun sisällä oli, niin sen saaminen pois, niin kyllä se oli vähän niinku haasteellista. Joten kyllä mä allekirjoitan ton, että sen puvun etenkin, sen pitää olla oikein kokoinen. Olen myös nähnyt tämmöisiä tilanteita aloittelevalla sukeltajalla, kun oli kursseilla vaimo ja mies, eli pariskunta, ja tällä naisella oli aivan väärän kokoinen maski, joka vuosi, mikä sana nyt onkaan. Vettä tuli kuitenkin koko aika silmille, se on epämiellyttävä. Sitten on aloittelija, niin se oli ihan hirveä kokemus tälle naiselle. Ja tämä mies vaan sattiin siinä vieressä, ja sitten tehtiin niin, että sanottiin tälle ukolle, että mees nyt vähän niin kuin pois, ja mä jäin siihen sitten tämän naisen kanssa, ja yritettiin sitä niin kuin päästä niin kuin sit pelosta niin kuin eteenpäin, mutta sitten mä aika nopeasti huomasin, että hei, että tällähän vuotaa tämä maski kuin seula, että ei oltu hankittu sieltä sukellusliikkeestä sitä oikean kokoista maskia. Kyseessä oltiin vielä Suomessa, kylmä vesi, vähän sametkin vedet, oltiin avovesissä. Niin mä sitten toin kotoa tuommoisen pienemmän maskin, joka oli mun ex-avovaimon maski. Mä lainasin sitä häneltä ja ajattelin, että hei, kokeile tätä. Kressin maski, hyvin kapealle kasvoille tehty. Sehän toimi niin kuin junavessa, ja se niin kuin muutos siihen fiilikseen ja tämän aloittelevan sukeltajan niin kuin alkutaipaleeseen, se oli niin kuin ihan silmin nähden niin kuin hirveä parannus. Niin kyllä mä sanon, että oikein kokoiset varusteet, se on ehdottomasti se on mukavuusasia, se on turvallisuusasia, eli hankitaan niitä oikein kokoisia varusteita. Jes, mutta hei, toi oli hieno kuulla tuosta Vrakdykarpensionatetista. Se on tosiaan niinkin lähellä kuin 35 minuutin ajomatkan päässä Tukholman keskustasta vähän sinne etelään. Ja tästä tuleekin heti mieleen, että tässä on tuossa mielenkiintoinen niin kuin pidemmän viikonlopun kombo, että lähtisi vaikka tuossa Ruotsin laivalla perjantai-aamusta yli, olisi siellä sitten, tai tekisi sillä, että torstai-iltana lähtisi Ruotsin laivalla yli ja olisi siellä perjantai-aamusta, siitä sitten auton kanssa totta kai lähtisi sitten sinne pensionaattiin ja tekisi siinä sitten perjantaina checkdivin ja ehkä yhden hylkysukelluksen, sukeltaa siellä vielä sitten lauantaina ja sunnuntaina ja sitten siitä sitten auton kanssa ja ehkä Viking Line Siljalan meiningillä takaisin sitten koti-Suomeen, niin tähän olisi ihan fantastinen vaihtari. Mä heitänkin tässä muuten palloa tuonne co-hostina niin Severille, että Severi, kun sä kuuntelet tätä, niin koska puhutaan tämmöinen reissu tuonne Emmyn mestoille, että lähdetään vähän katsomaan sitä vihreää vettä ja puupaloja tuolla pohjassa. Otetaan kamerat mukaan, kuvataan toisiamme. Yes. Ja jos teistä on joku kuuntelijoista kiinnostunut, niin heitä ja lähesty viestillä. Ja sitten hei, seuraava juttu, mitä mä haluan sanoa kanssa, on se, että tai kysyy itse asiassa teiltä kuuntelijoilta, miltä se kuulosti tämä englanninkielinen podcast-jakso. Jos olet sitä mieltä, että vois kuunnella lisääkin, niin ehdottomasti lähesty mua jonkin asteisella viestillä, niin mulla on muutama tuossa englanninkielinen ulkomaalainen vieras jo ajateltuna mukaan, niin lisätään rosteriin, tehdään jakso näiden maailmanluokan sukeltajien kanssa. Jos vastaavasti haluat pidättäytyä pelkässä suomen kielessä, niin ei mitään, laita siitäkin mulle palautetta. Ja muistutellaan hei tässä vaiheessa ja tässä kohdin, niin marraskuussa 25 Go Down Goes Bali-tapahtuma tuolla Indonesian Balin saarella, eli sinne lähdetään tosiaan moikkaamaan Halosen Miikkaa. Jos kiinnostaa tulla mukaan, siellä on muutama paikka vielä vapaana, eli siellä on tosiaan kiinnostusta ollut reissua kohtaan, ja sinne me suunnataan. Siellä on Bali Dive and Spa Resort, eli ei pelkästään sukeltamista, vaan vähän kylpylä-actionia. Mä oon katsonut niitä kyseisen resortin noita Instagram-päivityksiä, ja kyllä mua kutkuttaa nyt jo, ja tätä tehdessä niin 2 kuukautta on siihen hetkeen, kun lähdetään tonne Baliin, eli nyt kipin kapin, ei muuta kuin osoitteeksi www.divetarot.fi ja sieltä varaamaan meidän kanssa reissua tonne Miikan huudeille. Mutta ei siitä sen enempää, jätetään nämä mainokset ja kaupalliset notifikaatiot tähän, ja vaikka tuossa Severi jo asia mainitsikin, niin sanotaan se tässä sitten ennen sitä seuraavaa jaksoa, niin kannattaa mennä sukeltamaan, ja hei, ei mitään muuta kuin let's go down.